Hey there, it's Linda in Belize. Have you ever heard something on a video where a number seems completely unbelievable? Well, I have, and that's why I'm doing this video about utilities in Belize with some real life examples. And I'm also going to give you some tips on how you can pay your bills here. So first I want to talk about electricity, which is one of the most expensive utilities you have. And it will depend on how much you use air conditioning, but most people that are from North America will have their air conditioning on for most of the time. Now in my case, I keep it on pretty warm since I've been living here a while, usually around 24 Celsius when I'm here, and I am careful to turn it off when I'm out of the house. So the range in my Mahogany Bay Village tiny home is the first one I'm going to use as an example. So this past winter, I had tenants in it full time, and the range then was about 120 to 275 Belize dollars. Now, if I was doing an analysis for the summertime, it would be higher because it's hotter, but I've never had full occupancy then. So I have my tiny homes on home exchange right now, so I have guests occasionally, but certainly the total amount wouldn't really be that accurate. Now this home is really small, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, under 400 square feet. So to give you an example of what that bill would be for that size. Now looking at a much larger home and a more current example, I was renting a house in Maya Beach in Placencia Peninsula here, and it's 2 bedroom, 3 baths. So it's a fairly large house, and we had 4 people in the home, and we rented it from February until June where we were in the house. So the range of utilities much higher, 464 to 698 Belize. So if you have a larger home, you could expect to pay in that range. And again, we didn't have the utilities running at a really cool temperature. We had a couple Belizeans in the house, which they are used to the hot weather along with the 2 of us. So it's definitely the case that if someone's telling you that electricity is about 150 on average, you kind of know that that's not a correct assumption. And if you guys have some of your own utility examples you want to share, put that in the comments so people can see different ranges, because of course everyone will be quite different in terms of what they use. So now let's talk about water bills. So in my Mahogany Bay Village homes, which are the smaller ones, but water is more obviously dependent on use and how many people you have. So when I had the 2 tenants in my tiny homes, the range was between 40 Belize to 168 Belize, which is from January to March this year. The minimum fee you pay for administration is 25 Belize, and I've paid that quite a bit when my homes are vacant. Now, of course, if you have a pool where you're filling it up, that will add to your costs. Now let's talk next about internet. I've been paying 136 Belize per month, and I actually prepaid my internet for a year because that got me 1 month free with Smart. So that's one of the advantages, and I actually got the fastest internet I could. Now, because my property is in Mahogany Bay on Street 4, we don't have an option with Digi for internet, and nor can we get cable. And that's one thing I like to tell people, because it was not disclosed to me that that wasn't a possibility. But if you are building in a community like this, it's a definite thing to check with Digi to see if they have fiber optic there so that you can get cable. Street 1 of Mahogany Bay does actually have it now, and when I talked to Digi, they said if enough people actually ask for it, they may go ahead and add lines. So definitely, wherever you are, if you don't have fiber optic, see if you could talk to your neighbors about putting requests in, and maybe that will help. Now let's go into some of the other cost examples and also talk about budgeting. First of all, garbage fees. You do have to pay for those, and in some places it's taken out for you by the municipality in Belize. Other times you have to arrange this. In the case of Mahogany Bay, you actually have to arrange this. It's not done by the community or the municipality, and then you have to pay for it as well. And it's not a huge expense, but it's just something to factor in. And then pool and landscaping, I'm paying right now 350 Belize a month for my tiny homes. So again, depending on what you have for your pool and your landscaping, those will depend. And I'm just trying to give you numbers here that you would research on your own to put in a rental budget or your budget for living in a property in Belize. Now, I did see a video where a popular agent in Belize talked about gross revenue in terms of paying back a property purchase. And this is one thing as an accountant that I really want to warn people about. Your revenue itself is not what you use to calculate a payback. You take your revenue first, and then you subtract all your expenses. So things like property management fees, cleaning costs, repairs and maintenance, bug service, which you also have to get, along with all these utilities that I'm already talking about. So I do have detailed rental budget videos on YouTube already, so I'm not going to show a rental budget here, but definitely make sure that you factor in all the expenses if you're analyzing a real estate investment. So now let's look at how you can pay bills. So if you go to Belize Electricity, for example, and you try to look out how to pay your electricity bill, it talks about the fact that you can do direct debit here, and it says if you don't have an online account, you can register for it, and it does kind of insinuate that you would have to have a bank account in Belize if you kind of look at some of the options for the payments. So you can see here payment accounts, it says for banks, talks about how you do it online, and when I go into here it tells you that Atlantic Bank, Belize Bank, and Heritage offer real-time processing, and an online account with your preferred local bank is required. This is what it says here, and that's a bit misleading. If you go to pay with your Visa Mastercard, though, this is the way you can do it easily. So you can see Atlantic Online allows you to pay most of your bills, including electricity. You just need your account number and customer number, hit confirm, and then you can enter your credit card number. So this is the way I pay almost all of my bills. And when I first came to Belize, I didn't actually know this was an option, because when I asked some people, they said you had to go in person to make the payments. And I'm going to show you next how you can look at Atlantic Bank Online to see which kind of things you can pay. So here I'm online with Atlantic Bank, and you can see there's a personal login, which I use all the time because I do have an Atlantic Bank account now. But the thing I did before I even had that to pay bills, and I still use this today, is this bill pay with any Visa or Mastercard. So if I click here, you can see a list of all the different people you can pay. So right from this website, you could see that you can pay Belize Water Service. So that's great. Belize Electricity, which I showed you a different way to get there, but you could do all your bills by going into Atlantic Bank's website here and paying them with credit cards. So Belize Electricity, as I saw, Belize Water Service, and there are lots of other types of expenses here that you can see. A lot of these don't apply to us, but here's smart as well. So if you have smart internet like I do, I could have made the payment that way. And Digi also has options to pay with Atlantic Bank, although I go through Digi's website specifically and it'll take me to a link for that. So if people are telling you they could pay bills on your behalf and charge you a fee, that is an option, but you may be able to just do it very simply for free using your credit card here on Atlantic Bank. So that is an important thing to note. I became a buyer's agent in Belize to help people with questions like this one on utilities. If you have other things you'd like to have answered, just put that in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Also, check out our upcoming tours of Belize if you're thinking of either investing or moving here. We have ones coming up in October and November, and you can find more details in the description to the video here. Hope to see you soon in Belize.